Am I wearing my shirt backward? The Fujifilm X100V, one of the most hyped cameras that's been much reviewed, scrutinized, and beloved since it first came out. Today, I'm gonna give you the most simplest reason why you need to buy this camera. And it's not the film simulations, the analog camera controls. What it really is to me is the size of this thing. You might be saying to yourself, really? The size? Why? Well, compared to bigger DSLRs, this thing is compact, which means you won't be lugging around big DSLRs and lenses while still getting great pictures from the technical specs perspective. Sometimes the best ability is availability, and you can always take this thing out with you. And if you can take it out wherever you go, that means you're more likely to actually use it and shoot with it and get pictures. I mean, that's all I really have to say. You know, this is, in my opinion, the simplest explanation to get this camera. It's also one of the biggest reasons why to get this camera, especially coming from a beginner stage or near beginner stage, that, you know, sometimes the biggest roadblock is just going out there onto the streets or hanging with people and bringing a camera to shoot with. And you don't always want to be bringing around a big chunky camera. It's just annoying, it's heavy, you draw attention to yourself. So really, I have to give a caveat. I really have to first say and talk about who this camera is for, who this camera isn't for, and what this camera should be used for. If you're shooting street photography or just hanging out with friends and family and want to capture moments and memories and don't want to carry around a big ass DSLR, then you'll love this camera. But on the other hand, if you're trying to shoot fashion photography or strictly do portraits or shoot action like basketball where you need a longer focal length to get close-up shots while being far away, then this camera probably isn't for you, since the lens is fixed and it's a 35mm full frame equivalent, which basically means it's gonna shoot a really wide picture. And because this has a fixed lens, that means if you're looking to do videography, then again, this camera probably isn't for you, since you'll want to be switching lenses and getting different looks. And when I say this isn't for the complete beginner, I really mean it, because after all, this camera is like $1,400. I think I got it off eBay for $1,250. But in my opinion, this shouldn't be your first camera if you're a total beginner. This should be, you know, maybe your second camera. This is for the beginner or for the person early on, if they are early on, that's a little bit past that stage, that they're more than just someone who's like, oh, I want to get into photography. And you should probably use that $1,400 on something else. You can get a cheaper camera to start. I started off with an Olympus OMD EM10 Mark II, which was a great camera. Got it off eBay with a 50mm lens, which is a great all-around lens for, I think, $400 or $500 tops. Or if you have that $1,000+ lying around and you're a total beginner, honestly, upgrade your smartphone or get a better smartphone and start off taking pictures with that until you really understand and realize that, like, hey, I want to stop shooting with my phone and I want a camera experience. So the simplest and most important reason why I think you should get a Fujifilm X100V is the size. Because of its size, you're more likely to take it out and go actually do the physical act of photography. But you first got to understand who you are, what your use case is, and obviously what your price point is. If you have a clear idea of who you are, what your budget is, and what stage you're at in your photography journey, then this camera could be a great camera for you, and I definitely recommend it. So yeah, that's all I really have to say about the X100V. In my experience, it's been a really great camera. But if you own this camera, let me know what you think. What's the biggest reason why you think or recommend someone to get this camera? Or if you don't have this camera yet, you know, what's holding you back? Or what kind of things are you looking for? And maybe someone can give you a good recommendation.
So I know this was mostly a talking head video and we're in an elevator now because New York City is loud as shit. But I just want to tell the story of when the X100V size really came to use. We were in around Times Square at night, late at night. I'm talking like 2, 3 a.m. Don't know why, we just were. And there was just a lot of, you know, it was a really shitty environment. There weren't a lot of people out on the streets. There was a lot of homeless people. Not even just homeless people, but there was a lot of like people that kind of looked like they were off. And, you know, with a lot of the stuff going on recently with like Asian Americans and whatnot, it was just a real uncomfortable situation to be in, especially going out and taking pictures. And sure, there were cool night photos that we took and everything, but yeah, I mean, because of its size, I felt a little bit better just because I could discreetly take photos and quickly move and be conscious of my surroundings. But I mean, I had the video camera, with us, and that's when it actually felt uncomfortable. Even with this Sony camera, just a little bit bigger, but the lens bigger, I could still feel it drawing some attention. And so, that's one of just the moments when the X100V size really comes into play and how it helps you stay discreet and mobile. Because if you're carrying around a big DSLR, a big camera, you really do draw attention to yourself. And if you find yourself in a situation where you're at night trying to shoot some night photography and people notice you and you're, not a lot of people around and you're hanging with some strange cats, you could find yourself in a dangerous situation. So all that's to say, be safe, and the camera really does keep your profile small so you can really move about. That's it.